Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. I'm Joe Thorderson, here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth, and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And we have another organic show that will unfold as it will. So I would suggest stay tuned for every segment and see where the conversation lies. But Max, we're kicking this segment off with something you were calling the uniting power of art. In its best form, I suppose it is.
Would you care for me to explain the context behind this?
Sure. Talk to me.
All right, so.
Yeah, y'all didn't rehearse that.
Yeah.
No, I was.
Actually, I wish I had, but no, we didn't. So yeah.
No, that's all right. You said organic and on the fly. So this all came about because of a movie that I saw a while back called Dersu Uzala, which was by Akira Kurosawa. It was made in 1975. And what's interesting about this was a collaboration between Japan and Russia, and it was only shot on 70mm film. And it was a collaboration between Japan and Russia during the height of the Cold War, which I thought was very fascinating because why would you make art with your enemy? And not only, but it was also art in such a way that highlighted the best of Russia back from at the time. It made Russia it painted Russia in a very favorable light as opposed to like degrading them. And this even helped Akira Kurosawa get out of a bad emotional hole at the time because he had a film that tanked and he was contemplating suicide. He had financial troubles, and he was some of his people were approached by a Moscow film company asking Kurosawa to help with this. And so I like the ideas of enemies uniting together via the power of art. And this was further solidified by an animated movie that I saw, which was by a Chinese company called Flavors of Youth, and it was released in 2018. And it was, again, a collaboration between Japan and another enemy, China. And so I'm just thinking about the idea of, well, how can we unite together with our, others using art as a medium?
Yeah, because China and Japan have a history, that's for sure. So, yeah. But so are you saying that the artists, I guess I'm wondering, is it the art that unites people, or is it the fact that they show they can collaborate together? I don't know. Are artists just more likely to put aside their differences? Is that what you're saying? So
that's kind of what I'm getting at. There's the difference between the artists and then the people, the top brass, let's just call them. That kind of stir the conflict.
It seems like artists lead the way in a lot of things, or storytellers or something, don't you think?
No, I mean, there's a lot of validity in that fact because artists as a whole are usually more open-minded until the point where they get to a level where they're considered iconic, at which point they kind of look down. I mean, not all of them, but especially the ones who've been corrupted by the power of celebrity, where they start to tell you that, but when you've got someone who is pure in their art, they're way more open-minded usually, and they're willing to work with people that they may not agree with, but if it helps to create something that will be beautiful and bring something new to the world, they kind of draw themselves together.
And what's kind of meta about some of these situations is the fact that you mentioned the tensions between different types of people coming together, and the whole premise of Dersu Uzala is the idea of a person who's a man of the woods and a person who's a man of civilization finding ways to remain friends despite their differences.
I watched that movie on YouTube when you recommended it, Max, and it's interesting. I mean, it is low budget at the wazoo. It's very. I don't even know if you could call some of it acting, but honestly, they're just like some of the guys in there. But this movie's actually sort of famous for other reasons, though, right, Matt? Because there's imagery in this that influenced somebody.
Exactly. There is George Lucas. And it's interesting that...
Okay, now I'm taking back everything I said earlier.
What's interesting, though, about this sort of stuff is you got a film that was made by a guy who was at the lowest points of his career, supporting a guy who's just up and coming, who's at the cusp of the height of his career.
Well, and it's like, because like if you, spoiler folks, if you look at this movie, it's got, for one thing, the guy that is the main character reminds me of Yoda a little bit. He's sort of this wise, sort of street level, whatever guy. But There's you see the imagery of where the twin suns came from, and like when in Empire Strikes Back when they cut open the what is that? So, what's the animal that they were
The tauntaun?
The tauntaun, things like that. So I don't know. It's interesting that of all the films to influence a Star Wars movie, I mean, this one is way under the radar. I doubt many people have ever seen this movie, so
or even heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You guys do realize that in 97% of the interviews with George Lucas about where he got his idea, he actually mentions it. And they had interviews dealing with this movie specifically in Star Wars Insider off and on for like 30 years.
Have you seen it?
I have watched it twice.
Oh, okay. Well, what did you think? 'Cause it's sort of funny too.
Well, I've come to the realization that honestly, and it may be the reason, you know this about me, Joe, and a lot of people may not. I love cheesy, bad acted, bad effects movies if they give me something to think about.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you do get a little something to think about.
It's like when we watched Rubber.
Yeah.
Not so much when we watched Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark, but I think a lot of my inspiration towards low budget movies, whether they be funny, whether they be goofy, whether they be corny, whether they be insightful, I think a lot of it comes from Kurosawa. I mean, and actually, I'm going to blame George Lucas because I wouldn't have known about it without my love of Star Wars.
Okay.
But I can also blame Kurosawa for possibly creating the worst divide in pop culture history as of now, because nobody's worse to each other than Star Wars fans.
Isn't that ironic? You talked about the uniting power of art, Max,
that movie brought together, warring factions, and yet the fandom that ended up getting, coming about because of inspiration from it, man, they will fight about anything.
That's very dramatic irony too. But the truth is, the Star Wars fans fighting about all this stuff, I mean,
it still shows passion, which in and of itself can inspire you.
I guess, but it also just shows they got way too much time on their hands. They don't know what real suffering is. They didn't have to go live in the woods and survive and eat, the animals that they hunted for.
I'm sure that in this day and age, there are people who identify as Ewoks.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to continue this when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The rules never said radioactive mountain gorillas were prohibited. The Geek Patrol is back.
Okay.
I mean, what?
I
had to bring something for show and tell.
There you go. And we'll come back to the question is, where did they get irradiated? That's the bigger, because Allan's got an illegal setup in his basement, but and we'll come back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And Max kicked off the program with a comment about the uniting power of art. He was talking about, a film in particular, a couple of projects where you had groups of creators who basically, they came from different, they came from countries that were at the moment at odds with each other and everything, and they collaborated and made some good art together. But Max, I had another thing I wanted to bring up to this is now this was before you were born, and I don't remember the year. I want to say it was 1988 or 1989. But I've seen there's some movies and there's some stories and some projects that have come out that I find in the big picture were uniting. Like for example, the movie Dances with Wolves. When that movie came out, it was really well done. I don't know if you, Brandon, I don't know where you were in your career. I mean, Allan, I saw that movie several times in the theater, and I remember it was very well done. It was very artistic, and it brought up some difficult parts of our history, but it showed the plight of the Native Americans and everything. But they did it in a way where I actually the fallout from it. There was a lot of unity that came out of that. People realized, hey, we need to give the Native Americans their place and give them more respect and talk about and try to atone maybe for the history here. So I felt like it was a positive thing that came out of that movie.
Well, what we're driving towards here is anything that is greater than yourself.
There you go. Yeah.
Anything that's greater than yourself. Artists get invited all the time of During the Cold War, one of the hot things over here was a Russian ballet dancer.
Oh, yeah, Baryshnikov.
If we could get a Russian ballet, whether it was Godunov or Baryshnikov or any one of the people, we had several Russian circuses traveling the U.S., trying to show people that, hey, we do entertaining things too. We've had any number of American artists go over to Europe in a variety of countries of bringing American music, American style. We have a friend of the show and a friend of the convention. We have a Japanese rock band that is a Memphis musical ambassador.
Yeah, that's true.
So just to kind of show you that different levels of art, whether it is a painting, ceramics, could be carpentry, could be could be cooking, it could be anything. The people involved in it are involved in it for the passion, not the politics.
That kind of makes me think a little bit of, speaking of a little bit of politics, how politics in the wrong regime might actually fear art for its influence and drive over people, because I'm reminded of that scene in The Sandman where the beheaded Orpheus is singing in that dungeon with all the other severed heads singing along with him, and it's like Robespierre wanted to suppress him because he knew the power of art over people.
That's a good one. Yeah, you're right, Max. Well, it's funny because that's what I was thinking of. It's the message, and the message might actually be very difficult. Like I said, the Dances with Wolves, the message in there was not necessarily pleasant to unpack, but by unpacking it in an artistic way, it actually brought about some good things. I'm thinking there's a lot of episodes of Star Trek and even the Orville that have done that, like the Star Trek one where the one guy's the left side of his face is black, the right side is white. The other ones, and it was the opposite, but it showed the absurdity of racism, and that was at the height of the civil rights movement and things like that. Really put a spotlight on
the whole
things
Planet
like that.
of the Apes entire series of the city of Memphis is blessed with any number of very large building size murals. That have been done by a number of very famous mural artists from around the world.
We got some pretty good murals around here, I have to say.
So welcome to art that is the sake of art.
Yeah. It takes a little guts to make art like that too, I think, too. Especially, I mean, if you're somebody in a country where you are oppressed or whatever, or if you're putting a message out there that maybe isn't going to be popular at the moment, and then you look back. As a matter of fact, I bet you could look back at a lot of pivotal moments in history and find that it was artists or storytellers or writers that spearheaded the movement more than any politician did. So,
well, think of people like Thomas Paine in Common Sense, or John Milton, who wrote the famous epic poem Paradise Lost, was writing in response to the British government at the time because he was angry and blind, and he just, why not make a story about the devil and everything?
Yeah.
Just go pick up a copy of Gulliver's Travels.
I never read that, but that's a metaphor,
That
right?
is a political send-up. The entire Gulliver's Travels.
Because there's literally a scene in one of them. It's like an area called Balna-Barbie, where it's like, oh, the best way we can get all the politicians to think alike is if we cut their brains in half and then distribute the other different halves of the brains to each other, so they all are kind of a literal think tank thinking alike.
That's weird. Okay, so that was a well, you can do anything you want in art. So okay. But anyway, Max, I think that's actually a pretty good topic, though. So, but we're gonna change gears. We're just gonna tee this up before we go to break. So, Alan, what is this about ChatGPT? You said there's a new version.
Well, there's an upgrade,
that's changing
and
the game.
there's now an uproar.
I gotta be honest, I've never used ChatGPT.
Well, you are among a growing minority as AI has eased in.
A growing minority doesn't sound even.
That's not a thing.
That sounds like a name for a band.
It's a shrinking minority, but okay.
Okay. Anyway, we're gonna discuss that when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
Those guys are dorks.
Yes, but they're my dorks.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And just real quick, before we move on, I just want to say in the weeks ahead, we're going to be giving more updates about the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention because, man, there's a growing swell of excitement, Brandon, because we're doing new things this year. Well, next week we'll announce fully what we're doing, but it's shaping
Some
up
of the
really cool.
emails coming in are really, they're all inspiring, but at the same time, you're like going, wait, you want to be involved in this?
Right. People that are kind of like surprising partners are stepping forward, Allan. Like,
and it's not people we've gone after. These are people who are going, hey,
They're
I heard
coming
you're
to
doing
us.
this.
This is the uniting power of art.
it is. It's exactly. Put it this way: we're talking about a high society coming and visiting the Geek Society. Basically,
They're
that's
the
what we're going to
same
be.
people, Joe. They just don't normally admit it.
Right. They just change clothes when they get
Right.
here. So, but Allan, what is this about chat? So go to memphiscfc.com to learn more. Follow us at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention Facebook page and get your tickets now. There's
Don't
no reason
ask
not
your
to.
AI app, personal assistant to take you there because they'll look at you and go, no, that site is too low, bro.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so do that, and we'll have more announcements in the weeks ahead. But Brandon, so Allan, I got to be honest. Like I said, I've never used ChatGPT, but I guess every time you reprogram it, it's a whole different. It's behaving differently, like a software upgrade or something, or.
Well, as with any other software, there's. Once one of them comes out, other people come out, you now have competition and you have upgrades and new versions. And you also, in the wonderful world of AI, have unexpected outcomes.
Well, of course. Yeah, we know that.
And things happen, bad advice shows up, some weird algorithm goes down a rabbit hole somewhere, and you got programmers feverishly working on it. And one of the things about ChatGPT 4 was that it was a little bit too schmoozy.
What does that mean?
That means it went out of its way to compliment you and make you feel warm and fuzzy about sitting around and chatting with your AI buddy.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, the parent company is a parent company and needs to make money.
Well, they want you to be there. They don't want to send away their customers, right? So they're.
Well, yeah, they want you to be there, but OpenAI needs to they need to make some money. So they've made a few changes going into ChatGPT 5.0, and the review I read this morning that just absolutely just got me was somebody went, yeah, I wouldn't really trust ChatGPT version 4, but it was my buddy.
Huh. What do you mean they don't like it's not accurate?
Like anything else. It's like, ChatGPT, draw me a picture of Joe Thornton. You might have anywhere from 3 to 6 fingers.
Oh, right. Yeah,
we've
seen those.
Let's step away from the idea of AI art prompts and just go into asking ChatGPT for like a legal case exemplifying a certain mandate or something. And then it completely makes something up by pulling bits and pieces from these quotes and that quote. None of these cases are real. They're trying to give it to you, but you're using it as a school aid, and you write a paper, and your professor goes, "What the hell is this?"
That was episode 3 of Matlock. It's not actual law.
Seriously, it was.
It was actually episodes of legal cases on television,
right?
Not actual legal cases.
Because the thing is in order to aggregate its knowledge, ChatGPT, Grok, Google AI, all of these, they pull from what humans have said on the internet. And 97% of the time that humans say anything on the internet, it's BS.
So like
because
Wikipedia, you can put
smart.
anything you want on Wikipedia, right?
Right.
So
Except
if
for,
it's using that as a source and it's bad information.
Right.
So,
Except for the fact that Wikipedia does have people who go through when there's been a citation needed thing, who go in, look it up, and go, this is complete falsities. We're going to rip that out.
So
the only thing monitoring AI programs are AI algorithms. So there is no checks and balance.
However, 4.0 was very happy to see you.
It loved you. You were its best friend.
It said, hi, you're looking great today. How are you feeling? And the review I read was ChatGPT is now more like dealing with an overworked secretary.
I don't know.
And now
I've
looks
seen
at
some.
you and goes, what do you want?
I've seen some of the
probably
responses,
better.
and honestly, I'm surprised it doesn't just give you a sarcastic answer and then go, no, here's what's right.
Well, to me, it's less. It's almost creepier having a computer that's friendly to you. It's like okay, what are you trying to sell me? And
where's the knife behind its back waiting to stab you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, computers for the longest time have had happy greetings. Whether even if you boot up Windows 11 after an update and it says, "Hello, we're getting your computer set back to the standards that you provided." But it's very courteous and complimentary. Now you're going to get these things that go, man, why are you logging on now? We know exactly what site you're going to, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Now, what about the quality of writing with this new ChatGPT? Are they measuring whether it's even more
It's
accurate,
not
or is it
better.
just basically the same?
Well,
So now your expectations are lower. So
it's less friendly. And let's just stop at the emotional involvement.
I'm starting to think, could AI represent sort of like pricks of conscience on our moral compass, where it's like, we know why you're doing this, you should be ashamed of yourself? It almost makes me think of when somebody has a kid for the first time, they might change the way they behave around them because of their innocence and their youth and naivete.
Yeah, but by the time
That's a good point.
By the time kid number 3 comes around, it's more like,
No.
I'm back to normal.
right. So the kid never sees all their
Yeah,
flaws because
you're
they're hiding it
bleeding.
from
The
Is there a
them.
bone
first
showing?
kid and the middle kid, they got the tempered version of me. You're just getting the straight up me.
Yeah, the true me. So, okay, I don't know if this is better or worse, but it sounds like it's an upgrade. So the people that are hooked on
I'm
ChatGPT are
saying it's
again,
just another route.
It's not any more accurate.
okay.
And its artistic endeavors are just as bad.
All right. Well, we'll continue talking about it when we come back here on Geek Tank Radio.
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio on 98.1 The Max. The Geek Patrol is back.
They're still coming through. This is impossible.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, we're talking about, well, among other things, we're talking about ChatGPT, the new upgraded, I don't know if it's upgraded, it's just a different program. But I had a question for you guys. So I was listening to a Harry Potter podcast about a week or two ago, and the host did, I guess it was ChatGPT. It was something like that, where you basically say, write a story about such and such. So what he programmed in was, he said, write a story about what happened right after the Deathly Hallows in Harry Potter, the 7th book. So literally, it's picking up right after the story, like right after the Battle of Hogwarts and everything. What they didn't fast forward, and I was listening to it, and parts of it were pretty good. It's like, oh, okay. But what I noticed in every case was, it said, because there's still bodies in the Great Hall, and they're still planning. It's all the wreckage, and it's saying Harry walked past the body of Tonks and Lupin and everything, and saw Fred and George being wrapped up, ready for the funeral. But there was and all of these, they observed it, but there was no emotional thing. Like, he never said, and he felt gut wrenched or something.
no,
just like, there's that over there, and here's this. Yeah. There was no emotion in it.
No.
Is that? I mean, that's what I think's lacking. So it's like,
well, there's a little bit of humanization that's brought forth with an actual human writing. I want to call it out on its inaccuracy.
okay, what do you
Only
mean?
one of the twins died.
Okay. Well, you know what I mean. Yeah. Fred dies not.
That's like, look,
Let's not bury both of them.
It's look, I get it. They're a matching set. You don't put the living one in the hole.
I'm not trying to segue, but you just reminded me of one of the funniest things of all time. When the seventh book came out, they were very disciplined about not giving any spoilers.
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes you drive by like an overpass? There was an overpass over by these train tracks over by Poplar or Park and Ridgeway.
Right.
Literally, the day after the Deathly Hallows book came out, somebody spray painted it said, "Fred dies, not Harry."
I am not going to pretend.
And I'm like, what a jerk.
I am not going to pretend that I don't know who did that.
Okay, but I thought that was pretty obnoxious, but pretty funny too. But so is that what's lacking? How does a machine? Because obviously, if you're Harry Potter, if you're focusing on all the trauma and all the death, and it's just as though Harry's walking through here with no feelings at all. So
I'm gonna peel back the curtain here.
Okay.
Some of the funniest things in the world is badly written smut.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Okay.
And Allan knows what I'm talking about. There are people online who will post on a Facebook thing that gets into your algorithm if you're a fan of Star Wars or Star Trek.
Oh yeah.
They will post these. And they're safe for work. There's no real vulgarity in them, but it basically talks about the courting, as our nice Sunday audience would refer to it as.
Okay.
And it's some of the most ridiculously hilarious but stupid stuff. But there's absolutely
But are they written by people?
No.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They used to be. Nowadays they're done by AI, and you can tell the removal of the human elements, because now it is more concise but still just as ridiculous. But there's no actual passion to it.
Huh. It's weird because your algorithms are like the latest algorithm I get on Facebook with like if I'm making a post for the convention, I get all these pictures of animals jumping on trampolines, like caught by the Ring camera, and it's showing a bear or a rabbit. So I'm going to
tell
this
you,
seems fake to me.
I'm going to tell you exactly why you're getting that in your algorithm.
Yeah.
Some of those are CG created, AI created.
It looks fake
to
me.
The reason you're getting things like that is it has nothing to do with the convention, and it has nothing to do with Geek Tank Radio. You, my friend, are one of the admins on the Facebook page for Tool Talk. You, my friend, do a segment called Critter Wars.
So it's simple as that. They hear your.
Well, when people comment on the show via the social media about your Critter Wars segment or something like that, it gets into the algorithm that you like wacky animals.
Yeah. Because, there's some pretty legit cat videos you see.
I get into political fights because, I'm sorry, everybody out there, I'm a staunch dyed-in-the-wood liberal. You can hate me all day long. But I get into these fights. So I get these really weird things in my algorithm that are all about, political fights. Which is bad because I don't want to do that on my social media as much. I want to see the animals jumping on trampolines. I want to see the bear who comes into the house, gets scolded by the lady who lives there, and closes the door on his way out.
Okay, you just made me think of something because we're talking about ChatGPT. Does ChatGPT consider what's popular at the moment when it's suggesting what it's like? In other words, if you were to say, write me a Harry Potter story today, and then in 30 years, write me a Harry Potter story. Maybe it cares about different things.
Right now, if you ask it to write a Harry Potter story, because of all the downfall of Joanne, it's going to be about Dolores Umbridge getting, basically browbeaten by students. Okay,
so, that's another part. So it's just, I don't know, man. Just go write your own stuff, people. I don't want to read what ChatGPT
I don't
has to
want
say,
ChatGPT or Google AI. I don't want art. I understand people who use it to punch up their resume so their work sounds more impressive than it actually is.
I like spell check. I'm not going to lie. That's about it for me.
Yeah, I'm a grammar guy because, I've always been bad with grammar. It's like I can read and I can write all day long, but it may not be correct.
Right. Give a punctuation. I'm fine with that.
But if I'm sending a letter to a consumer product, showing my disdain, I like that extra oomph of proper grammar and me sounding way smarter than I actually am.
Yeah, I just hope it never gets to where we can't tell the difference. I mean, I still feel like we can kind of tell the difference, but I don't know.
There are some people who see certain AI pictures and still think that is their president.
Well, the AI art is getting a little weird, a little fuzzy too, but it's generally I can tell when I see a baby, having a full conversation in a business suit. I'm like, I think that's fake.
Well, yeah, that's AI.
When you say a whale going through a car wash,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. Pretty much an AI.
All right. Well, we promised today's show was not artificially enhanced, but it's over.
That's
you
what
guys.
an AI would say, Joe.
So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmsted. Jumping back to the beginning of the show and say, go make some art.
There
Unify
you
the
go.
world.